Welcome back. Well, in a horrifying case in Noida, a 28-year-old woman named Nikki was allegedly set ablaze by her husband and in-laws in Sirsa village over a dowry demand of rupees 36 lakhs. Police confirmed that Nikki succumbed to her injuries while being shifted from Noida's Fortis Hospital to Delhi's Safdarjung Hospital. Her husband, Vipin Bhati, also aged 28, has been arrested, while his father, Satyaveer Bhati, and brother, Rohit Bhati, are on the run. The FIR also names Nikki's mother-in-law, Daya. Meanwhile, her husband, shot in the leg by police during an escape attempt, continues to show no remorse, stating, "I did not kill her. These kinds of fights happen between husband and wife." The case has thrown up several chilling details, including the fact that Nikki's 6-year-old son was witness to his mother, I beg your pardon, being set on fire. Chilling videos of the incident have also surfaced showing Nikki being assaulted and dragged by her hair, while another captures her limping down the stairs after being set ablaze. The case has triggered widespread public horror and protests, throwing the archaic practice into focus once again. Well, as we are faced with this horrifying case, one must also remember that dowry-related cases and deaths are not as few and far between as one might think. Let's in fact delve into some of these stats and then we will discuss. I'm going to go over to the big screen and try and tell you that this archaic practice, which was supposedly against the law and prohibited somewhere at the start of the 20th century, still prevails in our country. Just look at these numbers. Cases registered under the Dowry Prohibition Act in 2018 alone, to begin with, it was around 12,000, moving up to 13, 10, 13 again in 21, and in 2022, 13,479 cases of dowry cases were registered at the police station. Dowry-related deaths in India, this is also another horrifying stat, from 2018 up to 7,167 in 2018 to 2022 up to 6,450 in 2022. This is a number which has more or less been consistent, and these are some of the deaths which have been registered. I'm sure there is a plethora of cases, a cornucopia of cases which do not get registered and reported because of intimidation or fear or for something worse happening. Well, dowry related deaths in India, the average of 7,000 dowry deaths every year between 2017 and 2022 is a very despondent, a dismal figure for a country which claims to have abolished this malified practice. 80% of dowry deaths happened in 5 states alone, and UP has the bragging rights to that, with almost 12,000 deaths taking place in Uttar Pradesh, followed by Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, West Bengal, and Rajasthan. This is obviously a very, very concerning number when it comes to a law which has not only been hated, demolished, abolished, and done with, but it is also something which is perhaps the worst fear for any woman who's looking to settle down, have a life without the stress or the burden or encumbrance of giving dowry to anyone. We'll talk about this with our guest. Joining us on the program at this point in time is Brinda Adige, women rights activist, Dr. Charu Wali Khanna, former member of the NCW, also with us on the program, Shamshavish Rain, a lawyer of the Supreme Court, also joins us on the broadcast, and last but by no means the least, Joyita Basu, editor of the Sunday Guardian, is with us on the program as well. Joyita, are you startled and shocked at these numbers that I have just put forth to you and the audience as well? On an average, 7,000 women have died in a span of about 7 years in India, most of them in a state like Uttar Pradesh. What's your, I mean, a lot of us don't even think about dowry anymore, living in modern India. But the fact of the matter is that when it comes to rural India, it is still a norm, it is still a practice, it is still being done unlawfully. Joyita.
Yeah, you see, it is not just a norm, it happens in almost every wedding. This is a topic. We think that the laws are very, strong nowadays. So, as a result of which, people will not be, I mean, such incidents do not take place. You see, what we are talking about is these so many deaths But you see, this is compared to nothing in terms of the number of cases that you have. And you see, this is extremely common. And if you are going to talk to certain people, I would say yes, maybe rural, semi-rural areas. I'm not very certain about urban areas, although I would say even in urban areas, maybe about 5, 10 years back, this was quite rampant, perhaps not so much rampant now any longer. But if you go to the semi-rural areas and then you talk to, say, for example, your office staff, the fourth class staff, if you're going to talk to them, they talk in terms of we have to give 3 lakh to dena padega didi, dahej to dena padega, 10 lakh dena padega, 3 lakh dena padega. This is absolutely rampant. Ladki ka shadi hai, dena to padega. And you see, and how are we going to recover that money? लड़का, if there is a लड़का को शादी कराना है, उससे पैसा ले ले, उठा लेंगे. You see, so this is so common, this is so common that it is unbelievable. But you see, I mean, the whole point is that this, the sensitization is not there. Such incidents take place when it is ultimately the girl's family that insists that the girl should stay back. You adjust with your in-laws. If there is a divorce, if you leave your husband, what will society say? What will your relatives say? You see, you are a girl. I mean, it's unbelievable for people like us to imagine a situation like this. But all these things are happening. And the most tragic part about this incident is that this torture has continued even after 6 years of our marriage. You see? So, I mean, why was this girl still with the family? Why wasn't she brought back to her home by her parents? You see, this cannot happen overnight. This torture has been sustained, it has been going on. So, unless and until you can have laws, but unless and until the mindset changes, nothing changes.
You're absolutely right. Well, the Noida Dowry horror has also put other horrifying cases of dowry harassment and violence in the recent past. In a chilling case that took place merely 4 days ago in Ghaziabad, 27-year-old Shivani was found dead with upper body injuries and a slit throat at her own house. Her husband, Jitendra, father-in-law and mother-in-law were arrested, after which her husband confessed to harassing and assaulting Shivani over dowry. Meanwhile, in another case in Assam, a woman, Reshma Begum, was brutally beaten to death by her husband after facing years of relentless demands for dowry alongside physical and mental abuse by her husband Sameer and his family. In Kanpur, a man named Ganesh Nishad murdered his wife by hitting her head with bricks after being unsatisfied even after receiving dowry of rupees 2.5 lakhs. He is now serving life imprisonment. And in another gruesome case in Rajasthan, a 24-year-old woman alongside her 3 children was drowned in a water tank by her husband and his uncle. She had faced repeated harassment by the two since her marriage in 2016. Brinda DK, I'll come to you. Brinda ji, it's even embarrassing for me to talk about this as an Indian. It's a practice which we read about in school. We read about how Raja Ram Mohan Roy and and other people who wanted to emancipate women worked against this kind of a norm and a culture. And it's very, very disheartening to see that it somehow slips through the cracks and continues to be a major player when it comes to fixing marriages in perhaps rural area. I cannot say that definitely with the urban areas.
Well, I want to place on record that there is no geography for demanding dowry and giving dowry. I'm there working on the field. Cities, A cities, B cities, C cities, suburbs, rural areas, urban areas, every religion, every caste, every class. There is not a single marriage that does not talk about dowry in some form or the other. May not be overt, many of them might be very subtle, but at the end of the day, it amounts to What is it that you want to give to your daughter so that she can live a comfortable life in the other home that we are taking her to? So this is the kind of language that is used. And every parent wants that daughter from the biological home to the marriage home to go and live there in comfort, in whatever comfort that can be provided. And over 75% demand in cash and in kind. So let's be very clear, 2025, we might have gone to the other side of the moon and come, but we have not got over demanding for dowry and the social sanctions that are attached to it. Because of these social sanctions and the religious practices, that allows something like this to continue. And then we have family and friends and communities who all the time compromise when these complaints or reports are brought by the bride or the daughter to the family. Because even today, we continue to live in a patriarchal world, patriarchal society and community where we ask, like Ms. Basu said, adjust, compromise, sacrifice, because you have to keep the family together. But the other family doesn't want any family to be kept together. The other family is on a dowry hunting trip. They will do this for every person. Now, why is it that they continue to do something like this? The onus squarely lies with the society and the state institutions of justice. Because we know that impunity has increased because punishment is reduced, decreased, and oftentimes trivialized by the courts, by the prosecution, and by police. Cruelty in marriage is a serious offense. Earlier we had IPC 498A. A lot of stories went about by the men's rights activists. Again, I want to tell men's rights activists, less than 6% may be false cases, So let's not get carried away. But now in the BNS, the punishment is strict. But the patriarchal structures and mindset sitting there continue to say, how can I put an old mother-in-law in jail? How can I put an old father-in-law in jail? Anyway, she's dead and gone. This child should have one parent, so we will be lenient. You want to allow an entire murderous family and father leniency so that they can look after a child? These are questions I want to ask the justice system, because this impunity has increased because of that. And I think, like you said, all of us must hang our heads in shame as we continue to propagate this with our advertisements, with our idea of how marriage should be, and all of that is paid for by the girls' party. Because there is some kind of a show off. It is romanticized and said that, it is your job. You only want to have a grand marriage. So you have to have all of these, theme parties and all that. So one part of it, we must place the onus on the advertisers and the wedding planners, but a large part of it sits on us as a society, and the largest part on the state for abetting dowry murders.
Absolutely right, ma'am. There are no demographics. Dowry is not area specific. I think it's mindset specific, and that's exactly what we need to change. Shamshavish, 498 section of the Indian Penal Code, does address the dowry issue, but it has been subject to a lot of misinterpretations and misuse as well. How could that be transformed and, made to work for the welfare of women who are trapped in this kind of a scenario?
People, as the previous speaker said, I would totally agree to it that dowry, they say that dowry is something that they have been asking. No, it is what do you want to give to your daughter? It's for your own daughter's comfort. And not only that, we have this khandan hai hamara, you have to give them gifts. You have to give a gift to the father-in-law, mother-in-law, sister-in-law, all the in-laws. These all are also called the dowry. But whereas the court and the family doesn't recognize at times that it is not a dowry, it is just a gift. So let us start here that if in case everyone wants something to be changed, you have to change the mindset. When a pratha like sati can be changed, wherein a living human being was actually burnt in the agni with her husband, dead husband. That changed because there was a human involved. But this is not changing because here the biggest enemy is here, that is money. So where there is a money, no one wants to change. Everyone says, "Arey chalega." They have changed the name of it, but the money part, but the dowry part is still there. The terms have been changed from dowry to gifts. But in order to understand this 498, everyone says ki this is a false case, that they have laws, and even the courts have also put these sections, domestic violence and dowry, these sections into a family dispute. So when you call it a family dispute, so when someone goes to the police station also, इवन दे ऑल्सो द पुलिस इज, अरे ये तो फैमिली का ही झगड़ा है, अरे मैडम बाद में आना, ये तो छोटा सा थप्पड़ ही तो था, हर फैमिली में तो थप्पड़ होता ही है मैडम, ये तो छोटी सी चीज है. Unless and until something major comes up wherein she was brutally beaten up, or a major thing happened, till then the police is quiet because it is there now in their mind कि ये तो family dispute है. So because of that now, even the men also, since I have been dealing with such kind of matters from a very long time, so I could easily say that the men come and they say कि मैडम कुछ भी नहीं हुआ, हमने हमारे बीच में कुछ भी नहीं था, ये तो झूठ बोल रही है. So as the previous speaker said that yes, that's true. Out of 100 cases, it's only 6 who might be false case, but rest 94 cases are all right. Everyone says, every lady in whatever class you are of, they have been mistreated in the name of marriage. They have been beaten. They have been asked for a dowry. So I had a matter wherein the client was from a very rich background, and they were asked to gift for your own daughter. So get a Mercedes, and शादी होगी तो हमें diamond ring इतना बड़ा वाला चाहिए. So these all things keep on happening, but then as we talk about कि education होगा तो ये सब change हो जाएगा, no. Education say it's not changing. Even the demand has been increased from a MBA graduate, from a director of a company. They also come and say, यार हमारी शादी, we have to give these gifts. और वो gifts क्या है? The biggest marriage that they can, the biggest diamond that they give, that the biggest car that they can. So all of these are dowry, and no one is ready to change. Starting from the smallest gaon to the eldest, everyone are same, and no one is changing their mindset. So ये laws आते जाते रहेंगे, but unless and until you and us change our mind, come to this point कि no matter what it is, एक simple सा शादी का जोड़ा, and we are done. We are not going to give gifts also. शादी भी not that grand, a normal simple सा function, diamond as per my own capacity, my own a simple gold ring band. Unless and until you start changing it, things will never change, because terms change हो रहे, but the thing is right there. It is still dowry. Thank you.
You're absolutely right, Shamshavish. I completely agree with you, and some of the points that you have raised are extremely instrumental into understanding this complicated scenario. Well, alongside dowry harassment, domestic violence is another issue that has been a bane on Indian society. Multiple recent cases have thrown the issue into sharp relief. Let's now take a look at some recent cases of such mindless violence. In Mysuru, a prolonged domestic dispute over property sale resulted in a wife's murder after her husband attacked and killed her with a sickle. Married for 30 years, Gayatri repeatedly was harassed due to Papanna's drinking as well. In Kanpur, 30-year-old Creamkala was murdered by her husband with a spade. Her husband Bhagwan Das had a criminal record and was a Kshetra Panchayat member. A domestic dispute reportedly resulted in a quarrel, after which Bhagwan attacked his wife with a spade. A 25-year-old man in Ghaziabad was arrested for murdering his wife over suspicions of an affair. Sumit Gupta reportedly grabbed a knife and slit his wife Kavita's throat after a quarrel. Sumit had previously been arrested and jailed in connection to a shooting incident. In another brutal incident, a woman was confined by her husband, mother-in-law and their aide. The woman had reunited with her husband after months of estrangement due to frequent fights. However, she was confined and beaten with iron rods alongside her mother by her husband and his family after their reconciliation. Well, these are some of the horrific cases that we have been able to dig up. But the fact of the matter is, Dr. Charuvali Khanna, that most of the cases at this point in time go underreported. You know, women usually are intimidated out of it, or they are coerced or talked out of it, and they never go to the authorities. They never even perhaps go to the NCW with their plight. But you know, there needs to be more information available. There needs to be more recourse and resources from the state and center available when it comes to domestic abuse and dowry. That's the only way to curb it.
Actually, in a way you're right, but at the same time, like if you see the present case where that man is totally he has no remorse, he's no repentant, and he says, "Chota Mia Bibi ka jhagda." So this is how not only that man sees it, this is how society sees it, this is how the police station sees it, the girl's parents, including the courts. The courts, even if the police registers, firstly the police rarely registers a case. If the girl goes to the police station, they'll say, "Oh, chota Mia Bibi ka jhagda hai. It's don't come here and adjust," like Vrindaji said. And then, even if they register a case, what do the courts say? It's a trivial matter. And they quash the FIR, whether it's a court in Madras or Delhi or Uttar Pradesh or even the Supreme Court. You see, because there's a mindset that this is an internal family matter. Now, in this present case, the man was shot while trying to abscond. The in-laws are also absconding. I think the girl's parents need to be arrested. The day they arrest one girl's parents, these incidents will stop. When the girl went back to her, it's not possible that she did not tell her parents. But what did they say? Adjust karo, adjust karo. Who is to blame? The parents. Who is the person who gave the Scorpio? If you agree to give something, the other party will think you have excess money and they'll try and keep on extorting. So don't show off your wealth. In today's consumer society, what does the Dowry Prohibition Act say? Giving and taking of dowry is prohibited in relation to marriage. Tell me one marriage where things are not given and taken. Even a simple watch. Tell me one banquet hall, one 5-star hotel in Delhi, when there's a wedding season, the car is not proudly displayed in the main hall. And in smaller banquet halls, how is the car given in the wedding ceremony or the engagement ceremony? In a tray. The big key is made. I myself have seen that. So why are we talking about rural urban? We are living in a consumer society where there's constantly giving and taking of things. But when there is an extortion and violence, that is what is condemnable. So I think somehow this Dowry Prohibition Act is very weak, because you are by using the word dowry, you're using a cultural word and sanctifying it. You're justifying that. Call it violence and extortion in the name of Marriage Act, and then things will improve. The good thing about the BNS is that in Section 85 and 86, they have defined cruelty, and they have said married woman, but they've not used any word dowry or anything. They've said in context of some valuable security. So if any woman is harassed, is beaten, the police has to register the FIR, but they don't. So however much resources you put in, who is the person who's going to register the FIR? The beat police person. So they need to train those persons. And who is going to train them? The same patriarchal mindset which society has, whether it's the police, whether the parents or the courts. So I feel very strongly about this issue. Even this young parents are trying to control their children. Are you selling your daughter? Is she a burden? Yes. Girls are still a burden to society. Parents still consider them a burden, and so do courts. There was a case in which the court ordered the father, he was a estranged father, to give some 25-30 lakhs, saying it's the dharma of the father to get the daughter married. Courts are encouraging these practices, where you spend excessive amount of money on marriage, and then what is the result? If you encourage this culture, you're going to get this result.
Fair enough, ma'am. Fair enough. Well, let's also now take a look at the provisions against dowry in Indian law. Well, the Dowry Prohibition Act of 1961 makes giving, taking or demanding dowry a punishable offence that entails imprisonment up to 5 years, as well as a fine of 15,000 rupees or the value of the dowry, whichever is higher. The act applies to both the giver and the receiver of dowry. Well, the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita also makes a certain provisions here. While Section 80 for dowry death states if a woman dies under unnatural circumstances within 7 years of marriage and is harassed for dowry, it is presumed to be a dowry death and carries a punishment of up to 7 years to life imprisonment. Meanwhile, Section 85 of the BNS pertaining to cruelty by husband or relative states cruelty or mental or physical inflicted upon a married woman by her husband or his relatives, especially related to dowry demands. It carries a punishment of up to 3 years imprisonment and a fine as well. Joyita, well, we have a paucity of time, but what do you think needs to be done over here? You know, this is a very, very important case that has come to light, and in the age of social media, you know, it can easily be said that it found traction. It garnered, we are doing this show because, you know, there were remnants and, you know, substantiating evidence of it available on social media. Otherwise, we wouldn't even be talking about dowry.
Well, the thing is, you see, what do we do? Obviously, the law that is there, that is not enough. That is not deterrence enough. First of all, you have to increase the quantum of punishment, and in manifold ways. Say, for example, in this case, and this particular case that happened with this girl who was burnt to death by her husband and all. I mean, I would say death is the only punishment. Okay, in this case, you see, when serious cases like this, treat them like the worst kind of murderers and just send them to the gallows. I mean, let us not get into things like, you know, death penalty and not, sorry, this in this case, it does not apply. Number, and you see, what is most important, as I said in that earlier segment as well, mindset change. Unless and until the law, the legal system, the police can do only up to a point. But you see, when the girl herself is taught that, listen, you do not have any value, that you do not, unless and until you are given, your value increases by however 3 lakh or 1 crore or 2 crores that I give, only that adds value to you. I think unless and until that is changed, unless and until the girls are taught that, listen, money is not how we decide your value, but for that, you know, that it is what you do. And this pressure, constant pressure about you have to get married at the age of 17, 18, and especially this happens in particularly in rural areas, this still is very much prevalent. Are 18 साल हो जाएगी, उससे पहले तो शादी कर देना चाहिए. So unless and until there has to be work at the level of at the ground level, you know, government has been talking about so many schemes are there. You know, we are talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat, we are talking about all the Ujjwala scheme, this and that, Swachh Bharat, toilet building mission. Why not start something that you will not let your girl to get married until she is the age at least of 22 or 23.
Absolutely.
Unless and until, try to just get her into the system and to let her work for some time. Okay, so unless and until that is drilled into...
Joyita, last question. Do you think this is a rural problem, this is an educated problem, or this is a pan-India problem?
Listen, when it comes to giving and accepting dowries, when it comes to the educated families, dowries are given differently. It is not perhaps... But when it comes to the rural areas where these cases are primarily coming from, I would say this is definitely this is a huge problem in the rural areas.
Fair enough. All right. Well, we've run out of time, but I appreciate everybody who joined in and shared their valuable opinion on this very, very crucial and pertinent matter. And of course, we'll continue to track this story minute by minute. We take a short break. We'll be back.